hey, look, this went well last time, so we're doing it again.
Dude,
in a different way.
Everybody wants to be my enemy.
Oh, that's what I missed to do. I was supposed to try and get something for the overlay, or I was just going to try and add Amazon Music in the background of OBS on mute, but I would constantly hear nothing but a playlist of Imagine Dragons. And then just every now and again, you know, like we had the Imagine Dragons Cube for the Game Awards, and you just open the door and you just hear natural. Shut the door and everything's all fine.
Yeah, so, it's like they're just hanging out, just literally outside your door.
Yeah, just like,
which, by the way, fantastic insulation.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh man, that's an aggressive background. That'll catch your eye if you're not looking directly at your screen.
Yeah, if you're looking, you can just see the thing on this. Oh yeah, so this is me. I'm Ryan. That's Duncan, and
that's me.
3 years ago, we did recordings.
Fuck yeah! I was literally just thinking about this before I sat down to record today. 3 years, and what a 3 years! Let me tell you. I don't know how you feel about it or what kind of life what you've been going through.
Well,
I am a different man in these 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, no joke. I've gone through. I've suffered several personal losses. I've gone through college. I've gotten a new dog. My dog had puppies. I bought half my mom's business. It's been a hell of a 3 years.
It's
probably
been
the most active 3 years I've had since I was turned 20.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. Let's go with that. The mood roller coaster has had quite a lot of peaks. It's had quite a lot of troughs. And in between that, 2 seasons of a show called Arcane have happened.
They fully like what's a good comparison? They like Mob Psycho'd it or like Attack on Titan'd it. They're just like, yep, we're just gonna take 3 years, deal with it.
Yeah, just do it. So the idea behind this is we're calling it an Arcane Impressions series. Last time we did like a full breakdown and review of everything. Part of the feedback that we did get from people in there was, yeah, we liked what you were saying, but
just took too long to say it.
Yeah, so we've tried to give ourselves a bit.
And I don't necessarily disagree. Like, I don't think that like there's such thing as like, you know, the correct amount of time it should take to complete a thought. But if you're not really saying anything particularly meaningful and you're just kind of rambling, then like shut up and hurry on.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we've tried to we've discussed it off screen. We're looking at doing a hard out. We'll see how close to that hard out we can get. So that's how it's going to be. But yeah, so we've done it for season 1. Season 2 came out on Saturday as we're streaming this now, or what was it? Would it be November the 9th? If it was if you see this on a recording.
Yeah.
And we got our first act. So Duncan's got notes. I remember stuff because I've been watching. I'll be honest, I've been watching portions of the episodes on and off after the full rewatch. So there's bits, and they're mainly the combat because, I like the combat.
Yeah, I will say, they definitely stepped up the action in this season. If there's one thing I can just give to them. Generally speaking, I enjoy the action sequences more. There's more of them. They're visually very interesting. I don't really have any. I don't take any issue with choreography for the most part. There's a couple bits in the first season I was like, you just had that knife extension in your hand and you just didn't use that the whole time, did you?
Yeah. You just did
things
that
like
fight.
That.
You did that fight all that time, and then you didn't. But now you've been given a slot machine arm, so you know.
That is comedy right there. I don't even know if it's intended to be, but man.
I think it fits intentionally on the idea that, especially if you think of the characters of Savika and Jinx, that it is absolutely not a weapon that Savika would have, but it is absolutely a weapon that Jinx would make.
You could just feel the just hatred that coming through Savika. It's just like, this is what I have to deal with. Fuck, fine, if I have to.
Shoot faster.
This thing is gonna. It's like best case scenario, this thing kills my opponents in the most annoying way possible. Worst case scenario, it blows up and kills me in like 5 minutes. You know?
Yeah. So before we get into it, then, I asked Duncan for a one-word impression of how you feel about this act at the moment. We're going to go for a one-word impression, and then we'll dig into bits that we liked and disliked about the act and the show going forward from there. So I started with this. The word to describe Arcane for me, and this act in particular, is accelerated. Everything is breakneck. There isn't really save maybe the first 15 minutes of episode 1. Just in your face. There's something going on all the time.
And it's well spent. Like, it's like the one part of the series where, like, if there was ever going to be like a slow bit, that would be the time for it. Mm-hmm. Emotionally, that's the correct time for it. And other than that, it's been like vroom. Yeah.
It's just like, we have got stuff to do, and we are going to do it. You better buckle up, fucko, because we are going.
Buckle up your seatbelts.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my thing. And I was like, on my idea, and I said this to Duncan prior to this, I didn't want to say the word rushed, because with everything going around in terms of the animation, which Fortiche, again, God, if I could even have even a fingernail of talent that studio has when it comes to animating, it would be there. There's bits. There's bits.
If I had any degree of talent that could be even remotely compared to the leavings of the people that made this show, I as hell wouldn't be sitting in front of you right now
discussing how good
the garbage as my background. I would have a picture that I have drawn as
just a still frame of Vi just stood there in the background. So that's where I am. Rushed is where I feel, and I'm going to just get straight into it now, is where I feel sort of storylines are going. There's a lot that is, I wouldn't say as fed to you as much as here's the aeroplane and it's just the bowl.
Yeah. They just give you the whole bowl of porridge.
Yep.
Yep.
Because there is a lot to continue. So there is the storyline of Vi and Jinx and Caitlyn. The whole personal sisterly bond and the not necessarily love triangle, but the sisterly love versus
more like it's
actual
like
love
triangle.
Yeah, the affection triangle. Let's go with that. So you got that. You've got Jace and Victor and the Piltover Council and Hex Tech, and in particular the Hex Core, which just gets resolved I say resolved. Gets pushed forward pretty quickly. You've got the Civil War, Piltover and so on. They don't waste any time just going straight in. Right, there you go. Everything's there. And then you've got Echo and Heimerdinger, which do have...
Who are just chilling.
Yeah, who are chilling, but have the funniest fucking stealth scene, I think, in the history of...
It's pretty on point. I like it. It's just like, don't you own this building? It's just like, it's fine. Don't worry. Just follow my lead.
And then, I've forgotten what he said. The quote when he says, "The finger's left the jungle, the Brimbleback has left the jungle," and it's like,
yeah. It's like, code words don't work if you just make them up on the spot.
And then just getting there, sneaking in to the workshop to just find Jace has just been sleeping there. It's like that was just wasted. It's just like, you could have knocked.
It's like, we didn't exile you. We just kicked you off the council. Yeah. You still own property and shit here. You
are still the dean
of
the academy.
You are a citizen and resident of Piltover. And the head of the academy. Yeah, you're responsible. You're kind of negligent actually.
Yeah. Why have you just
NGL, raw?
Yeah. Why have you just went to a tree? With your new mate, but so that all happens.
He had to make a bubble machine for the orphans. That was an important task he had.
Oh God, yes! The first turret of Heimerdinger's you see is a bubble turret. Made my day. Just watching all these Zornites just going. And then just to think that later down the line, Heimerdinger will go crazy and everything has to be a turret. That's just It's just how it's going to work for him. But so you have all these storylines, and then in addition to that, they've thrown in this. They still like to keep with this political intrigue. They've thrown a little bit more with Ambessa in it, into the fact that she's not just doing this for Noxian supremacy and things. She's doing it because she's been blackmailed.
Yeah, very much. I'm assuming it's some other like Noxian. I don't know anything about if there's like lore to this or what.
So,
I'm assuming some other Noxian faction that's like at war with her. And
are you aware of the Black Rose as a faction?
I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh player, so a Black Rose dragon is just a monster that wipes the board. It's pretty fucking cool, but like it's a little outdated by today's standards.
This is where they're adding more stuff. The Black Rose is a faction, and here's a small lore dump. You know LeBlanc, Vladimir, Elise, Cassiopeia, experiments like Rel, Briar. Yeah, the Black Rose. That's the Black Rose, and this is the other thing that's coming. If season 1 was anyone could understand League, or anyone could understand Arcane and learn about League through that point, Arcane season 2 has basically turned around and asked you a question of how much homework do you actually know?
Yeah, it's like anyone. Yeah, it's like anyone could watch season 1 and without having even installed League of Legends and be like, "Yep, this all makes sense. I know who these characters are. It's fine. Everything that you need to know is explained." But now we're getting into so it's like, okay, well.
So here you go. How much do you actually know about Janna? How much do you know about the Black Rose? You know, all that sort of stuff. So anyway, so that's where I'm sort of on the idea of sort of this accelerated versus rushed sort of conflict I have in my head, because everything around it, and to take into account, people are just going, all the voice actors sound like they phoned it in and don't know what they're all talking about. It's almost like they spent 3 years not doing anything. It's like, no, the voice recording was clearly done after season 1, because the fucking teaser for Arcane, which we then had to wait 3 years to get a trailer for, contains the quotes that we've already heard. There may have been re-recordings, you know, bit of ADR, all that stuff, but you know, it was already there. So I don't like to say that it's rushed, but like I say, it sort of matches with what your one word was when you came into it, which you said frenetic.
Yeah, frenetic. Yeah, I would call season 1 turbulent, and I would call season 2 frenetic.
Yeah,
that's how I would break it down.
And that's the thing, because when we did have the discussion, it's like I think we've sort of agreed after like a rewatch, like a couple of years later down the line, our opinions softened.
Certainly mine did. I know yours. I mean, you know, it bears mentioning that you know you were largely positive in your original assessment.
But I still feel it had some flaws.
I was the main. Yeah, I was mainly the detractor, the naysayer, the doubter, the skeptic, the non-believer, and I was criticized for that, and you know, degrees of rightfulness of that, I suppose.
Yeah, you know, there were bits.
I definitely. The ultimate conclusion I came to about myself and my assessment of season 1 is that I don't think I was necessarily wrong in my criticisms. I may have overblown certain things and lingered too much on certain things. I do think I made some fairly salient points, and maybe I could have done a better job of distinguishing between like things that were like this is a problematic or contradictory story beat that doesn't make sense. Versus, this is just something that I didn't like and can't otherwise verbally parse out.
Yeah.
That being said, I also don't think I gave enough credit where credit was due. Because, frankly, there was a lot of good to like and to say about Season 1 that I just... I was, that I turned a blind eye to, perhaps unintentionally. It really is an achievement. Like when you take it as a whole. I mean, we're talking about like beyond cinematic production values. Great voice acting and art direction, like music. Okay, music was like hit or miss. Like it's like good music, but like sometimes I think it's a little over the top.
Yeah, and that's not changed in season 2. There's like the music that's in this is good. Maybe where it's placed can be sort of a little bit. So if we take into sort of account an emotional hitter right at the beginning of the first episode, this slow, somber, haunting melody, which makes sense when the mother of one of the main characters of the show bit it.
Yeah, I think like scene 1, episode 1, or I know scene 1. I know the first scene is technically like the aftermath of the explosion and stuff, but like that's like barely a scene. Like
it's
really
a cold
just sort of
open,
like
isn't it? It's just...
yeah. Jason's just kind of like and then like things move on from there. Like the first like real scene, the funeral, like keeping in tradition of starting off strong. Very very good scene.
Yeah,
I like the style of it there.
Yeah, this sort of like black and white sketch of everyone who isn't the major characters.
Yeah, I don't know what the technique was there. It reminds me of if you've ever seen like Mob Psycho 100. They use this like paint on glass technique, which is sort of like they use like a very like smudgy sort of like
it's like charcoal rubbing, rough. Isn't it? So, like...
Yeah, like it has this sort of like ethereal look to it. There's a video here that I had a link to that you can mute the music because it's not relevant, but it just sort of gives examples of things from that show that sort of illustrate my point. But yeah, no, it's just like a very nice style. I don't know if that was just like what created that effect, but it looked nice.
Well, let's think of it this way. I mean, I hate to call... I don't want to call them Fortiche at this point. I feel it's more Port Forticheolio, because the amount of different styles that they've just gone ham on and have just been, as long as you tell the story, however you do it is there. So there's the charcoal stuff on there. There's this, like, the comic book style that happens at the cold open of episode 3. To the point, and then if we go back to season 1, there was the weird the Firelight music video, effectively like at the beginning, and even Echo's battle on the bridge against Jinx, like at the end. Is like these stylized ways of sort of telling the story, to the point that the most normal cold open of or the most normal opening of Arcane for this season was actually the second episode, where just a street urchin is just running around and falls on top of Jinx. And even then that had a little stylized sort of Into the Spider-Verse thing with Jinx firing a gun at herself and just the word "poon" or "poof" or whatever it was.
Very actually really reminded me of like who's the guy? Like an Edgar Wright moment.
Yes. Like Scott Pilgrim movies. Sort of like.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which, to be honest, actually, with that episode, the Savika versus Smeech fight was just ripped out of a Brian Lee O'Malley graphic novel and just placed into into Arcane. It was just
that was good too. That was a fun little sequence. I found that one entertaining.
Yeah. So if we have a look at this, one of the sort of conversations that's going out through, let's just be careful here, Reddit, is this sort of idea of character-driven series versus plot-driven series. And so season 1, everyone's sort of like, as you're placing the chess pieces down on this giant board that they're gonna start moving across, you need to know about the character motivations of all the major players through there. And season 2 have basically just gone, well, we don't need to give you more about this. You know about all their motivations. Now you just sort of need to see them acted out. And they kind of do that. Whether there's the emotional payoff that they were expecting at this point, and I know, granted, it's only one act of 3, but I feel it's like
I think
story goes along with before you can even see the characters process what they've done.
Yeah,
to a point.
Things are moving very, very quickly in this little show of ours.
That's not to say that it's not fun, because it is. It's just
definitely good bits.
Yeah, it's just the bits to sort of break. So I mean, like, if I'm looking at sort of positives across the 3 episodes at this point, I think we said it before we even went online. So combat, just they just know how to do that now. Fight scenes. I mean, even transitions.
We've definitely moved away. We've definitely moved away from the season 1 fights. They had a tendency to be a lot more like visceral and gritty, and just kind of like, like the fight. I think about the fight between all like the teenagers, Vi and Powder and all the gang there.
Right at the beginning of episode 1, just after the heist.
Yeah, it's a very like a pretty real fight. Like, people get rolled around in the dirt and trading blows.
Watching in slow motion someone's jaw end up 45 degrees perpendicular to their face.
Yeah, it's a down and dirty fight where both sides take hits, and things get a little bit more, action movie-esque as time goes on. Our characters get older and better at fighting, and they have better technology, so they get a little bit fancier with it. And but now that we're here between Chemtech and Hextech, it's just balls to the walls. Everyone, we've got these like cyborg people that can like rotate their bodies 180 degrees around, and their arms morph into 17 different weapons at the same time. It's a whole thing. Oh,
Smeech, you will be missed, mate.
Yeah.
All 15 part of years.
Gone but not forgotten. Good old Smeech.
Yeah. Oh man, I always had him almost like a Joe Pesci vibe, to be honest. I thought it was just like, all right, here's this Yordle, which, I mean, according to his TFT description, he is half Yordle, half machine, like something else. It's just like, but he's also like a third Goodfellas as well. So, does this sound like a joke to you? Am I laughing right now?
Exactly. It's like, funny how?
Yeah, funny how. So jumping all over the bits, but like when they want to move the plot forward, they're doing it by action, as opposed to a bit more sort of political intrigue with what was going on. We haven't really had much in terms of, in like Rumble Mark II, says Steph. No.
Oh man, I'd play him in fucking RM. Let's go.
Oh.
I mean, I know like there's supposed to be like a whole big TFT set coming out with this, but like, man, I think he'd be fun in an RM. Yeah. I want to see his kit.
Oh man, I just want to see Savika's new arm in a kit, which apparently what's happening with her is happening in TFT as a unit, like just pure unadulterated chaos.
I will say there are two to kind of, because we have no plot or consistency in this this stream of ours.
Yeah, we're sort of
until we decide otherwise.
Yeah, we're sort of impressions until we.
I will say that there are. I made. I don't know if I made like a list of predictions. I really didn't, but I had 2 predictions going into season 2.
Okay.
That came true.
Oh.
One of them was like a half true, so I'll give myself 1.5 out of 2.
Okay, well that's still 2 more, then yeah.
The first one was that Savika would be almost killed at the end of the act, because that happens. She's 4 for 4 now.
Yep.
Where she's suffered a near-death experience at the end of every single act.
I'm sorry. That woman loves pain. She quite clearly does. I mean, she in the last fight with Caitlyn just has her functioning arm bitten, and that eyebrow raise that she gives is basically a. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it's like, I have been through so much worse.
Yeah.
Is that the best you got?
Yeah. Forget the fact that then she ends up, having a Hextech corrupted rifle aimed at a Hextech corrupted face, and it just sends her into pain that just you wouldn't believe. So that was your first prediction, and what was your second?
Second prediction was that. So I originally put Jace in this position, but ultimately someone became, the effective like dictator of Piltover by the end of the first act. That was one of my predictions. It's like, wasn't him. I thought maybe he'd be like doubling down, because the reason why. Okay, here's the thing. The reason why I had originally put Jace there is because, if you remember the end of season 1 and To be fair, that was like a lifetime ago. For some people, that's literal.
Mm-hmm.
My sister had one brother. When season 1 Arcane came out, she has another one now.
Oh my!
So that's how long it's been.
Yep.
And if you remember from that last scene, the missile that like blew up the building, the literal closest person to that window was Mel.
Yes.
And I thought that was meant to be ultra super telegraphing, like, Mel just died, and that's gonna matter.
No, because
I don't even think she has a bruise. This
is the thing. So the line in that first episode where Jace walks up to Mel and they're discussing all this stuff. I think doesn't he basically just lie on her thigh because they're still an item, pretty much. And he turns around and says to her, like, how can I be the closest one there and not receive a scratch on me? And Mel awkwardly looks away. And people have just gone, people just went, no, bitch, I was the one closest to the rocket. That's me.
So,
Mel.
It's like, yeah, no, it's like, oh, there's no sense to these kinds of things. Like, there kind of is, though. Like,
there is.
It's like, yeah, it's like, I can't help but feel like the real reason is like, we promised her a 2-season contract and we just didn't want her to die yet.
Here's the thing. Well, there's 2 ways that they do it. Mel is basically the bargaining chip for Ambessa regarding the Black Rose. The other thing, and it requires a bit of extracurricular scouting. You were aware that like 2 weeks before Arcane came out, there was a music video for Ambessa to advertise a skin line for her character in League of Legends. It's called Chosen of the Wolf. Apparently, that skin line is canon, so therefore the music video is also canon as part of this rule that Riot have done between seasons regarding Arcane. Laura de Jong, who's the product manager for sort of lore Riot, basically came down and said, Arcane is canon, and the universe of League of Legends sort of has to adapt to that. So any lore that's beforehand has to be rewritten to make sure that it works in Arcane. Any lore written afterwards has to use Arcane as its basis for whatever. It's a way of unifying the thing. The music video for Arcane shows a pregnant Ambessa dying on the battlefield as Kindred comes up to her to test her. And throughout the music video, all sort of stuff happens. And just as she's going to be chosen by Kindred to be part of this like undead warrior horde or whatever, death's chosen, her baby glows gold and she comes back to life. That baby is Mel. And what was the last action that happened with Mel before a rocket entered her back?
There was some shinies or something.
She shiny glowed gold. So the
magic baby, right? Makes sense.
Yeah, the sort of lore behind Mel is that I think that the idea is that the sort of question is that she's actually a Solari, and so the item Locket of the Iron Solari provides protection, and all that stuff. So basically, that's where that sort of goes. So that's why. So that's why old guy who never solved a puzzle and robot dude died at the council, and why Silo basically has no legs, no functioning legs. Anyway, now where were we? Oh yeah, they were your guesses. See, I sort of had an idea that Mel was not gonna bite it, and I guess I was right. She didn't bite it at the end of. She didn't bite it at the end of season 1 anyway. Her whereabouts for season 2 are unknown.
Yeah.
After being
got flower poofed away.
Yeah. Hemomancered by. Don't you just hate it when you get taken away by a pool of blood?
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Is it? Do we want to focus our?
Yeah. Let's focus on
energies
Act 1,
on a particular. Yeah.
So let's go with that.
Yeah. So do we want to do this like episode by episode, or just kind of like?
Yeah, we can sort of
broadly
go with like what we liked and what we, or like what we thought was important in each episode for sort of where we want.
Sure.
So we start with Act 1, which was called "Heavy as the Crown." Had the song "Heavy as the Crown" by Linkin Park, written by Linkin Park, produced by Linkin Park. God damn it, so much Linkin Park. Sorry, technically not Linkin Park, just more Mike Shinoda and Emily Armstrong.
You know, them.
Yeah, and a Freya riding song, which was the bit. So we had the whole bit about the funeral, and oh my god, Caitlyn goes on a let's just say Caitlyn's idea of revenge. Sort of is just there from the beginning, up to the point that she chooses the worst special ops forces known to man as part of her team. I mean,
I have comments about the fucking her operatives.
Yeah, so only 2 of them don't really get given names in the thing, but they are called. Martin, I will not leave Not Braum alone, thank you.
fucking Walmart brand brawn over here.
Yeah. Walmart, Braum off Wish, Loris.
Yeah, wish.com Braum.
Yeah.
Wish.Braum.
Wish.Braum. His characterization is at the moment he's an enforcer, down on his luck, and drunk. And sort of
he's an alcoholic until I don't know, he's not.
until he helps try to save the day from a massive attack by a bunch of Zorn insurgents, which includes the mother of the kid who bit it last season.
Yep, she's back. I mean, briefly
Was back, but
she was back.
Yeah, one hell of a chainsaw though. We need a chainsaw that also has 2 chainsaws on the side of the main blade of the chainsaw. Just to make sure.
More blades makes it cooler, I think, or something. I don't know.
So then, who else do we have? We had Steb. He's the blue fishman silent enforcer who spends most of his time.
Names? Like, where did these even? Like, I mean, okay, maybe they showed up in like other places. Like, I literally, not even kidding. This is not a matter of like I wasn't paying attention. Not only are these characters not mentioned by name a single time in any of these 3 episodes, but in at least episode 1, I didn't check episode 2 or 3. In episode 1 at least, I know that these people are not credited either. Like, they're not voices. They're not people. As far as I'm aware, they're not in the voice cast. And I could not find their names anywhere on the internet.
So they have been, as Arcane episodes are coming out, any character that is going to be in the TFT set gets revealed. And that's where I've got the names of Loris, even though he is a speaking part, he's not mentioned by name, like you said. Steb doesn't say anything, and apparently is not going to. His unit description on the TFT page is like the Silent Guardian. So
all right,
he doesn't have a name, and then that leads to Maddie.
Saves money on hiring voice actors, I guess.
Yeah, that then leads to Maddie, Miss not living at the end of this season.
Yeah,
because there were 2 characters that they could kill off.
The only new enforcer, the only member of our like discount Avengers who actually has like a name and like a speaking role.
Yeah. And this is something that did come up. This episode consists of basically the funeral, post-funeral discussions between sort of Caitlyn having to realize that she's going to be the heir to a legacy that she didn't want to be the heir of. Receiving the Kiriman key. So you had that. You had Ambessa trying to basically finagle away with Silo to try and start a war. To which,
I want to get in trouble. I want to start a fight.
Yeah. And then you had the attack on the funeral, or like the memorial of the 3 fallen councillors man who didn't get to solve his puzzle before he died, Robot Man, I keep forgetting their names, and Cassandra Kiriman, which was Caitlin's mum, has got it going on.
I mean, I've seen worse. Anyway,
so it's sort of like they're your three bits. You also have Jace's vigil over Victor, who is healing himself in a gelatinous cube.
Yeah, he's in a some sort of magical goo cube, which God only knows how Jace ever learns anything, because it seems to me like most of the experiments that him and Victor do involve just pointing eldritch magical artifacts at objects and or people and just seeing what happens.
Yeah, they've decided to they have followed the fling hex tech shards at the wall until it works process, especially with the hex core. But this sort of idea that Jace has basically betrayed Victor by doing the one thing he asked him, or by not doing the thing he asked him to do. At the end of Season 1, he asked him to destroy the hex core. I don't care if I'm going to die, destroy the hex core. Jace goes, fuck off, I like my friend. And basically, the hex core absorbs into Victor, for lack of a better term at this point. It sort of absorbs around him, and then absorbs into him, and Victor becomes Metal Man.
Yeah, he's a little different. He's got a new makeover. It's funny. He when he first got his new bits, he had this sort of rejuvenated vitality of suddenly I don't need my stick anymore. That's kind of cool. And he went for a little run. But now he's all Metal Man, and he's still using the stick. I don't know. Maybe it's appearances thing. Maybe it's just a comfort thing. I don't know.
I mean, the fact that the stick, which was a crutch and started off as a cane, became a crutch, and then by Arcane Season 2, it's now a staff. I mean, how do you feel about your Lord and Savior Victus Jesus? Jesus Victor.
Yeah, he's because we didn't have enough story beats going on. We got to add Victor becoming a messiah to the Shimmer addicts. It's interesting. We've got like you've said before, we've got the bit with Savika and Jinx, and which is kind of its own subplot, honestly. On top of the fact that it's part of the general Vi and Jinx conflict, which includes Caitlyn. Jace is kind of involved in that, but he's also doing politics and helping Victor. We've got whatever the hell Heimerdinger and Echo are up to, the weirdest odd couple.
Oh man, it's great stuff. I would just take a series of Echo and Echo and Heimerdinger's adventures in Runeterra just all day. They just work. It's just like you say, it's odd couple energy, but it works.
Yeah, and it's we've got the business with Ambessa and whatever the hell she's up to. We've got the Chem Barons doing their own plot. We've got Victor doing his own thing. We've got whatever the fuck Singed is up to. There is so much shit going on. I don't even know how it's possible to resolve this in 6 episodes.
And yet they have
to. But they're gonna try.
And this is.
And I say try. It's done. They've. Aside from maybe a couple, they might be able to I don't know, if there's a pixel that appears in 3 frames that's off, they might be able to scrub that out before release. But other than that, they're done. It's over.
It's done.
The show is made.
Yeah, it's up to us to see.
They did it apparently.
Yeah, it's up to us to see if they stick the landing or not. And this brings up a very, very quick tangent before we probably then move to episode 2, because like I said, we discussed the 3 sort of bits, and like we've already said, the combat of the fight at the memorial and watching all the characters, mainly get their asses kicked until Ambessa saves the day.
Everyone kind of eats shit for a while there. Jace gets he misses becoming paraplegic by about 0.3 of a centimeter.
Yeah. Him and Vi use his Mercury hammer to fail to hit a chem tank soldier. But that gets explained a little later. Intrigue. And then like Victor has his Jesus, or like gets ready to, or wakes up to prepare for his Jesus moment in episode 2. So you were saying about like all these plot threads sticking in. This is the interesting bit, and this is the thing that's come up. Months, or like when the trailer came out, it was announced that Arcane was going to be having its second and final season. And the showrunner, Christian Link, and head writer, Alex Yee, discussed that this was always part of the plan, that Arcane, as this story, was always going to be 2 seasons. And they would spin off and do other stories in Runeterra with other characters as and when they could. The weekend, or like the week that Arcane was due to come out, an article by Variety headlined Netflix cancels Arcane as development of Riot Games Entertainment stalls, states that the show was meant to have, according to this article, was meant to have a 5-season arc.
It's 5 seasons worth of content, that's for bloody sure.
There's a lot in there. That's the saying. They're not. This is the thing. They're not scrimping. They're not. They're just force feeding at you, and
I mean, literally, it's literally, Caitlyn and Vi have like 3 entire new members to their squad, and 2 of them are not. They're not only do they not have names, they're not credited. Like that's how non-existent they are as characters. Like it takes effort to do that little in setting up a character that's supposed to like be relevant for even an episode, let alone an arc.
Yeah, so let's think of it this way as well. They introduce them, they put them into the squad. That's the end of episode 1. They get ready to go down and infiltrate Zorn in episode 2. And all but Jinx and Vi are told to head topside by the beginning of episode 3. And
I thought that was fucking hilarious, personally. I almost laughed out loud when I heard it. There's like the absolute mad lads put together their own little like mini like
Black Ops
Wish.com Avengers, and before the first act is over, they're already like, all right, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
like,
we're then left with Iron Woman and Hawkeye by the end of it.
It's almost like the writers were like, hey, we need to like even the odds a little bit, because if all 5 of these people show up at the final fight, it's a total stomp.
Yeah,
we need to make it like have our main characters just barely lose, otherwise it won't be it won't be any good.
But I could understand them sort of being in there, like, or I could understand them if you gave them time to develop, but you sort of give them a little arc and then reduce them to side characters within an act. Because at the end of it, what do? They thump their chest like warlords by the end of Act 1.
Very interesting voting tradition in this highly intellectual, advanced technological civilization. It's like all in favor, and against. I don't know. What would they say? How would they say no? Like it's very silly. It's very silly.
This is the bit. Like, Arcane has really good moments, but sometimes there are flaws that are not. They're not small. They are just as in your face as all the good stuff, and that sort of comes through. And so
yeah.
But then
when they hit, they hit. But when they miss, it's like man, that's full send.
You feel the Janna's Zephyr off 5 miles away from where that missed.
Yeah, it's like this is what is going to happen. Deal with it. No, it doesn't make sense. No, it's not at all acceptable. but it's happened. Past tense. Get over it.
Yeah, past tense. Here's Jinx managing to blind shot 5 mooks with a gun, just looking at the floor. Just to take it over, because we then sort of go into to episode 2. Watch It All Burn, I think is what it's called.
Yep, that sounds right.
And you have Jinx basically walking through and having a moment that she's so committed to being. Well, she's so committed to the namesake that she's just this. I feel this seems to be her characterization. She's just causing damage on the hope that someone will go fucking enough and kill her. That's what she's living for now, is to be killed by someone, preferably Vi. But anyone will do, and she helps a street urchin who again isn't named, but she's credited as Isha. And I did like the line, and me and Martin laughed at this one, where it was just basically Isha looks at a wall and she sees all the wanted posters of Jinx, and she goes, "Yep, that's me. Want to curse a what was it? It was like curse a sibling, a family." That's my card.
It's like if you're in need of a family, a sibling, a society.
A society. Just cursing. Just ask me, and I'll do it. And her conversation with Savika sort of later on as well. I sort of liked that. Is it questioned whether Savika knows that Jinx killed Silco?
This is something that's worth coming. By the way, I like that the aesthetically, I like that like the thugs that are chasing the old urchin, whatever the fuck the name was. I like that they kind of remind me think of like a steampunk Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was just an aside that I wanted to bring up because I wrote it down. I thought it was funny. But I don't think she does know, because I don't think it's not. For one thing, it's not general public knowledge, because
Smeech is actually.
Smeech does not know.
Yeah, because he gets concerned when she says it, doesn't she? It's just like, oh yeah, that was me. Whether it's me pulling the pin, or someone, I don't know, or someone not close to me dies.
Yeah. So like, I would assume that if Savika knew, she'd be like all over Violet, or all over Vi, and she'd be all over Vi too. She'd be all over Jinx like a fucking, like a flying shit. Like,
because Savika's like priority is the Undercity at any cost.
Very much not happy that Silco's dead too. Verbally expresses this at multiple.
Yeah.
It's like, man, it sure does suck that Silco's dead. I wish Silco were here so that he would be not dead and therefore doing things that were helpful to me right now. And Jinx over there's like, yep, it's a bunch of bullshit, isn't it? Anyway, how you doing today? How's the arm?
Yeah, how's the arm? I don't
have
up. Yeah. Want to fix? Well, yeah, hope. I do like this one. There was an argument that people have come around. It's like, how did Zorn fall apart so quickly after Silco's death? How could the Chem Barons have not taken it? It's like, no, this one was given to you. Like, subtle as a brick, was given to you in Act 3 of Season 1. With how, like, Silco could easily pacify all of the Chem Barons, because he knew they needed to be unified under one person. Even if it meant by choking them out, they could not work together. They were all up each other's arses, and there would be like a little civil war between them. Would happen if there wasn't someone to unify them. And sure enough, Silco dies, and you see the cold open of episode 2 of just the table of Chem Barons slowly disappearing one by one as they all take each other out. To which is the point.
And it's worth pointing out, like it's like they were hardly said to be in control in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
There's a point in which they mentioned, like, even if all of their remaining forces were combined right now, and none of them had killed each other prior to the present day events, which they have, they would still be outnumbered by 4-1.
Yes.
So like, they don't have spectacular odds to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, so for anyone to turn around and then say, how could Zorn fall apart so quickly? It's like, well, no, you've been told how it.
It was never together.
Yeah, yeah.
It was really just like, it's just a pile of mush that was in a slightly. It was like a house of cards, except all the cards are kind of like dirty and like bent and creased a little bit, and so it's like you're really having to play around to keep them upright. And then Silco dies, and it's like,
yeah. That's at this. Then in this same episode, this is the point where Jesus leaves Jace, and goes to the Undercity and cures Hook and all the.
What is it? Jictor fans are absolutely malding right now.
Oh, I can see it. I can see it. I can see it happening. This is then where Jinx gets flushed out by what you later learn in episode 3. Basically, the special ops way, how Caitlyn and her discount Avengers get through the Undercity without anyone just turning them all into Swiss cheese, with control of something called the Grey, which is basically concentrated industrial fumes placed into an area.
Just some nasty fart gas.
Yeah.
Interesting that it's an interesting look. It's like the good guys are using like noxious, like caustic fumes to like precede them in a war on terror, essentially.
Yeah, which I know the words war crimes have been used a lot from Redditors regarding this. It's like,
I mean, yeah. I did make a certain half-assed MS Paint job that I sent you in a DM that will not be presented on the stream.
It will absolutely not.
It fits thematically.
It does, and grief be damned, you don't go that far.
There are plenty of like mistakes and like questionable decisions in the show, implying that Caitlyn and the Piltover government are like kind of unethical and handling the Zon thing in a way that's not too terribly kind is not one of them. That's very much overt. That's in your face. You're supposed to think that.
Yeah. So that happens there. What else have we got that happens in this episode? Oh yeah, Jinx gets flushed out by this Grey attack. They nearly get her, but they nearly get her because Jinx can't help but cry when Vi picks up Clagger's goggles. And when she cries, a teardrop lands on them and it makes a really convenient tink sound, and that's how they figure out she's there. And then it's out of the arcade into the fire, where we then get, personally, I don't know whether this is my second best or best combat scene, but this like two-way fight between sort of Jinx, Savika, and Smeech and his steampunk crew.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, obviously his the steampunk mooks are kind of like whatever, but like Smeech makes up for it for sure. His chemtech cybernetic appendages is it's quite a delight. At first he doesn't even seem all that. He seems kind of unassuming. He's like he's just got like a robot arm or whatever. That's kind of interesting. Yeah. But he really lets loose and.
But then he can then stand over you 10 foot to 5, and then just like. Then turn his arm into a blade, and or not even a blade, like a helicopter rotor. One of my favourite little parts of this, well, one of them, there are many, but of the fight was just the bit where the urchin throws one of Jinx's non-functioning grenades at a steampunk mook, and then he gets distracted enough to get shot in the back of the head, and then you have the child looking really awkward, and then Jinx just goes, she just looks at it and she just goes, poof. And the kid just the music stops and the kid just goes, and just that bit, just like, oh, okay, so we're now just gonna have attachment seems to be a thing, seems to be a key word of Arcane. Powder to Vi, Isha to Jinx, other characters to other characters. As mine just say, it's the next step. I guess it's the cycle.
Jinx and Silco as well.
Jinx and Silco, thank you, Martin. There you go. That one gets yeah. It is. It's just a cycle, and it's a cycle that's supposed to be stopped, but they just keep making the same mistakes. But also Savika's arm. Let's just go with it. Slot machine arm. As we discussed prior to starting, it is a weapon that Savika absolutely wouldn't want, but it is also a weapon that Jinx would absolutely make. And
yeah, it's very much it's a good representation of Jinx's mind, but also a great foil for Savika. It's very intentionally it's very intentional juxtaposition of here's this very no nonsense serious
serious woman who
has been turned into a major player, and she just kind of wants to get shit organized, and here's this fucking literal
gremlin
appendage attached to her arm that's her only means of effectively fighting.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you can just see how pissed off she is the entire time she's using it.
Yeah, but still enjoys it when it means that she can just tear Smeech limb from limb from limb from limb. So that happens, and so where do we end the episode on that bit? Trying to remember where.
Let's
end.
see. I think the last scene we've kind of already talked about, but the last scene in episode 2 was the the Jesus.
Oh, the Jesus moment, the allegories. Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that Victor
makes his way to the lowest lows of the Zon,
mm-hmm.
where the Shimmer addicts just kind of huddle in tents and try to knife anybody who comes by.
Yeah.
And it just kind of gives a little boop. Because as we all know, it is a universal human cultural custom that when a man in robes and a staff that you're attempting to mug walks up to you and attempts to touch your face, you should just let him do it.
Let him do it, and then thank him for healing you. Shockingly,
this works out quite well for the mugger. I'll be honest, I kind of thought that, because, thinking back to Season 1, I thought about, how much more, physically able Victor suddenly was after
mm-hmm.
he got his new arm and leg.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's gonna, beat the shit out of these people. And then he, did the opposite of that.
No,
well, that works too.
Yeah. And this is sort of where the Arcane is coming along, and things go. But if that was the weirdest part of the show so far, you haven't seen nothing yet for episode 3. Finally got the name right. Where we then learn that not only is the Grey weaponizable, which that's how we learn how Caitlyn and her Discount Avengers do it, but this is the bastardizing of a ventilation system designed by Cassandra to help Zorn, to stop them all choking to death under poison. She just reversed engineered it and used it as a weapon.
Nice.
So that's
it's like here's mom's doing the right thing, helping Zon out. It's here you guys are allowed to have air. It's cool.
Yeah.
And then this is hey, we could do the opposite of that and really fuck him up.
Yeah, and the fact that I could just
shockingly no one calls him out on this.
Yeah, it's just I mean to be fair at that point, I think the only person who knew this sort of step, well, the only one who should have known was sort of Caitlyn, but that meant she told the other Discount Avengers and they went, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it is kind of funny that of all people, Vi didn't object to this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but speaking of Vi and Caitlyn, get it on.
And by get it on, we mean they
smooch. They smooch.
Yeah.
Unless, as people are joking already in China, they hug.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't wait for they'll just cut out a couple key seconds of that scene, of course.
Fortiche have got B-roll. But because it still just gets me. It's if they leave it in, this actually means they've gone ahead and done it, because in the history of League of Legends lore, there are no same-sex relationships. Everyone, there's
that are confirmed.
Yeah, there are heterosexual relationships and lots of roommates. Graves and Twisted Fate, Diana and Leona. Very good friends, all that sort of stuff. I mean, the fact that it's almost confirmed in Western videos that Graves and Twisted Fate are a couple. They're an odd couple. They are the odd couple that would, that do care for each other, but definitely sleep in separate rooms. They
only share on special occasions.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I think out of all of them, I feel like Caitlyn and Vi was like probably like the closest to be like, it was like probably like the most like, it's like ooh, it's like maybe their relationship is more than just good friends and coworkers.
It was less will they won't they and more when they.
Yeah, it was like when will their Chinese overlords allow them to say?
It turns out, episode 3, Act 1, season 2.
Which, to be fair, is like 14 years late, but better late than never,
Yeah. But man, this is where shit goes weird. As we find out that Echo is taught by Jace about wild runes in the best way, shape, or form, though. It was just like, right, so here's how a normal rune works. Just pass me a book. Pass him a book. And it's like, right, here's how wild rune works. Pass me a book. Pass me a book. Yeah, the sigh. The sigh is what makes it.
Yeah,
sort of wild.
It's an intentional form of communication that's not like very. It's not specific or structured, but it is legible if you know how to interpret it.
Mm-hmm. And so that's where it comes in, because this is where we've had this stealth sequence as well, and they've just chilled out in Jace's lab for the entire thing, and then they find out that a leaf has been corrupted by the hex core, and it's like, how can that have happened?
They got some hex goo.
Yeah.
On the giving tree and so on.
And they then go down into the super secret reactor core of the hex gate and find. Well, they find the overlay background. Big pulsing webby ooze. To which Echo just goes, "Is this a wild rune?" And Jace goes, "I have no idea what this is." I think it might be a wild rune, mate. What it is?
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, what it is the writing team's universe articles all in one sphere. It's the League of Legends lore department in one sphere. Because
it's a visual representation of like the writing department of League of Legends. Like, shit, we have so much to do, so much to see.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take it in the back street. Everything's all taken the back street.
Well, yeah, because this is the thing. At the same time this is happening, Jinx and Vi have their final showdown. Final in finger quotes with Jinx and Savika, all being watched by Isha. And partway through the fight, we cut to Jace, who touches the League of Legends lore writing department's ooze. And everything goes insane. Like, we go Spider-Verse with all this shit. As basically Caitlyn and
once again,
Vi.
Once again, Jace being an absolutely fantastic scientist.
What if I touch this?
Fucking indescribable ethereal object that has, on at least one occasion, eaten a person.
Yes.
And regurgitated a second one. Let's just touch it and see what happens. Boop.
What happens is all of Caitlyn's rifle skins load at once.
When the edibles finally hit, it's just like, oh, I can see the back of my own head. I can see all of the backs of my own heads.
Yeah, as Jace turns around and he sees 150 versions of himself, which gives me this sort of Terry Pratchett's The Long Earth vibes. It's just like, here's Earth, but people can step into infinite realities of Earth. And what we do is we name our Earths by how far away from the original Earth you are, east or west. So it's like, I can travel to Earth West 864,000. why would you? I don't know. But this is where my idea of the universe comes in, because it quite shows that when Caitlyn and Vi, or Caitlyn more than Vi just gets paralyzed by this thing. Jinx just gets blown into a wall when it happens, and Caitlyn's rifle just lands on the ground and turns into about 5 to 10 different skins of a Hextech rifle. And it's like,
yeah, it's like it kind of goes like it's like a Spider-Verse like moment. It's like you're in the wrong universe and your atoms are warbling.
Yeah, so how do you feel about the entire universe skin lines of League of Legends heading into Arcane? I mean, if this was their gambit in order to do it, I mean, it's ballsy.
This is how they're gonna, like, you know how they're talking about like doing spin-offs and stuff. This is how they're gonna introduce the idea that like all of like the skin lines are just like parallel universes, and they're gonna make different stories about that. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna do Star Guardians next. It'll be like, oh fuck yeah, let's make it happen.
Proper isekai anime sort of stuff. You go to the Riot Records arc, and it is just a slice of life series about KDA trying to take part in Eurovision or something. I don't know, you know.
Which exists because it's like on Earth for some reason.
Yeah, it's like a similar Earth, but not like, let's forget the fact there's a woman who can fly, but you know.
Yeah, it's Earth, but it's spelled with 2 A's for some reason.
Yeah, Earth.
Welcome to Earth. Earth.
So that fight happens. Oh. Jinx loses a finger.
Yeah, the mean finger.
Yeah.
The baddie bad finger.
The finger that has made me look through skin lines to see if she's actually already got that, and I'd not thought, you know, just to see.
I would love it if they just made like a tiny graphical update in League where like the only change is that Jinx's model has like her
what?
Left middle finger removed, and like that's it. Nothing else has changed.
Yeah, still has the psychotic smile and the pink eyes and all that, but just that one middle finger just gone. I like that so this fight has music from the artist Woodkid, who did the. I still love that it gets memed on. He did the song in episode 2 of season 1, where Jinx has the flare in the air, and you like have Milo's corpse spirit just like in the background, and so people just take it to think that Milo's actually singing the song. Pray to you. But apparently, like, so little Easter eggy stuff. He posts a tweet out that basically goes, "You've not found all the Easter eggs in this song yet. Come on, chop. Where are all the Easter eggs?" For the fact that the chanting, like the choir that plays during that fight scene, is apparently chanting Shuriman. You know, because that also works, and you know the fact that you've got Janna in the background as well, just this giant looming wind goddess, just like, oh look, that's where she is. So I'd like to find more information about that. But then everything all wraps up, and you have Ambessa. Well, actually, I'll come to a question on that. You have Mel kidnapped by the Black Rose, and you have Ambessa elect Caitlyn as supreme dictator of Piltover.
It's just like see that 20-year-old girl over there? She is your fascist leader right now. She's kind of, and at first she's kind of like, huh? And she's like, actually, no, I can fuck with this. I can vibe with that.
She's like, I can't do this, and then she looks out over Piltover and goes, you know what, second thought.
She got the coat too. Like she's just got it ready, like, and it's in her size and everything. It's just like, yep, I knew. I had this specially tailored just last night.
Yeah, so you know that's how that goes, and so
had to have the shoulders drawn in a little bit. You know, I forgot how slim you are, but you know, it's a cutting look for you.
So I did miss a little bit. We'll rewind a little bit. Ambessa is on her barge with not Darius. With not Darius stood there, and she's visited by a merchant, Amara, who, is trying to get information regarding what's happening in Piltover, and then she basically just outs herself as just like, hey, hey Ambessa, I'm Black Rose, you can't run away. And Ambessa like nearly gets captured, and then Darius activates his staff axe, which is a league item, and I've forgotten what the name of it is called, Ruckern or something like that, kinetic Ruckern, with runes all over it, and it breaks the spell, and Ambessa just absolutely stabs the fool. She just shanks the hell out of her, and then slices her neck as well at the same, as well. It's just like, sure.
Yeah, I just gotta be sure. When you are dealing with an organization that you're aware can manifest magic death tentacles around your body at a distance and can also teleport you against your will across vast distances, it's probably best to just really be sure to kill them.
That's fair. And when their leader can be anyone, because LeBlanc, with her powers of deception, can be anyone. I can understand that. Mel does a little bit of spying of her own, where she ends up having being friendly with a Vastayan called Lest. Which, Hussy, Martin goes, Hussy. The chain-smoking Lest who just disappears. So that all leads up to Ambessa, or who we think is Ambessa, because this is a question that comes up, or is coming up. All the characters in League of Legends have basically just been wearing... They don't really have many clothing changes. They kind of have outfits. Like, I know Caitlyn kind of changes to an Undercity outfit and an Enforcer outfit.
She puts pants on.
Yeah, you've got Vi, who, either sans jacket or with jacket. Ambessa just absolutely changes her outfit, hairstyle, all over, to the point that the question has been asked, is the Ambessa that made Caitlyn Dictator General, is that actually Ambessa?
Well, I mean, I guess it's possible it's not, when anyone can be anyone. My guess is that it is, and that this is just kind of like her idea of like, is that it's... I can't hear anything he's saying.
It's like we won't know because that was something for season 5.
Yeah, we'll never know. They scrapped that storyline.
Yeah.
They had an entire season planned out dedicated to explaining how that outfit came into existence, but they had to condense it down. But I assume that's just sort of like her idea of like formal wear, like she's about to make a big momentous occasion, a big decision.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, dress up a bit.
Fair. Yeah, I can see it. I could see that Ambessa also knows about Mel's disappearance and has had to play the part, in order to do stuff, because that bit's never really known as well. It's like,
we got 2 whole acts to go through. They'll have to tell us sooner or later because they can't not.
Yeah, but what was answered is that Ambessa didn't just save the day when it came to the attack in episode 1. No, she manipulated the entire thing. Brought Kid's mother, I've forgotten what the name of that Ken Baron is. I've forgotten what her name was. I
don't even know if she
has
what her name
has
in the credits. But...
Yeah, she has been named, but the name eludes me. But her son died there, so just did all that, get everything set up, got the weapons smuggled in, and then Ambessa has a big damn hero moment, and then betrays her immediately, because the power play is the Hex Tech, and the best way to get the Hex Tech at this point is to just incite the war. And just, so give them the thing to do it. So, that's the 3 main sort of, well, that's the episodes and the main plots through the episodes. Is it even worth asking where you think this is going to go next?
Who fucking knows? I mean, for one thing, it's not even possible to guess what's happened with Jason Co, because they could be on an entirely other plane of existence at this point.
I completely forgot about that. We don't see them after he smashes the wild rune with his hammer.
Yeah, he goes from, again, Jace, absolute, like, Einsteinian genius. Like, literally, this man is, like, Stephen Hawking and Albert Einstein did a fusion dance. Absolute gigabrain scientist man. Upgrades from touching the horrible sphere of death to trying to hit it with a hammer.
Yeah.
This does not go well for him, apparently.
No.
This turns out to be a questionable decision, because it apparently just eats them.
Yeah.
Just eats everybody in the room.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, that being said, in terms of graphics and animation there, that was the trippiest animation, when it sort of like zooms into the thing and it goes all like kaleidoscope, and Heimerdinger and Echo seem to split into their constituent parts. One takes it more well than the other. Echo kind of just goes, ah! And Heimerdinger just goes, oh.
It's like, well, that feels weird.
What a curious conundrum. So, I mean...
yeah, so they're somewhere. God only knows. There's a lot of places to go in a short... As the song goes, we got a long way to go and a short time to get there.
We do. 6 episodes, 40 minutes each. Like you said, I think you put it down to 240 minutes to not just wrap
also known
this
as
story up.
Also known as one Snyder cut.
Yeah, one Snyder cut. That was the one. But like you say, you've just done this sort of idea of to wrap up not just this, but like everything. It's like the Arcane as a story needs to come to a satisfying conclusion in 6 episodes.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, what's mind-blowing about this is like if they're gonna spin things off, right? Like, everything here that is currently present is like interrelated to itself and what has been previously established within Arcane, which means it all has to be within reason wrapped up by the end of the show. So in order for them to have other stuff to like leave available for future spin-offs, as they have to set even more things up, presumably towards the end of the show. Yeah. So they got even more stuff to show us. We haven't even seen the end of it.
Yeah, because like I say, if the next, I guess if they were looking at anything, there's people are saying, oh, we should do one in the Freljord, or we should do one in Mount Targon and stuff like that. No, work with what they currently have at the moment, and you have the biggest in to move to Noxus, for example, as a place, especially if you're having like the Black Rose. I think they did well in the first series of Arcane to keep it grounded to this one location and just set up everything in regards to it. Adding too much too fast can lead to problems, and we're seeing little bits of it here.
Yeah, and what's funny, because like one of the compliments, one of my strongest compliments, most consistent compliments that I gave to the first season of Arcane was that it's like, for a show that was going to be advertised and marketed towards general audiences that don't know anything about League of Legends, the smartest thing that they could have done, and the smartest thing that they did, was ground the story within a place within the like League lore that is generally not very like magical and whimsical. Like, it's a very like, this is more or less just like 18th century like technology with with like very little magic, and like the fact that magic is like something that is new to this world means it's new to us, so we can learn all the rules about it alongside them. Like, there's not a bunch of shit that is like that could just come out of nowhere and change the rules of the story because that's like established in lore. Like, no, it's new to them, it's new to us. We progress together. That's all gone in this season. The magic is balls to the walls now. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
Everything is crazy. There's no reality. It's gone a little bit over the top.
Mm-hmm. But if the thing is, the ball's on them. If they can stick the landing on this, it would be, I'd say it'd be kind of insane, and then probably would solidify itself as a piece, as in the defining video game adaptation in terms of it. Because this was my main concern that I had. This is that in the 3 years that you had between Arcane Season 1 and 2, you had varying levels of very good to good video game adaptations, and also Borderlands.
Yeah, there has been we're at a point now where it's okay to adapt video games. They've gotten relatively good at it.
Yeah.
With some exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer it's no longer a death sentence.
No, it's
with Arcane being very much like the messiah figure of that whole new era.
Yeah, because that sort of brought it in, and then I guess you had the Sonic the Hedgehog films, but I mean the one that always stands out that people always talk about is The Last of Us, and I never got round to watching it, but I've heard from what people have said. Again, like Arcane, you need to know fuck all about the video game The Last of Us. Do you have a complex character drama set in an apocalyptic sort of wasteland that with characters that people can get behind, and tension as a horror film, or as a horror thing? Yes, it worked. Personally as well, recently, Fallout. Do you need to have played Fallout to learn all the kooky stuff that goes on in that game, and this sort of like grim, dark reality, but with so much self-referential humor that it keeps it all going? No, you don't need to play Fallout. Was it a good show? Personally, I liked it. Borderlands, huffadonk. Don't turn around and say to people oh yeah, do you need to play Borderlands? No. Are you going to do anything are you going to have anything in it that made Borderlands? No. Then what's the point? It's just a screen that you put a Borderlands skin on.
Here's the thing about adaptations, and I think this is probably the most succinct way to put it. When it comes to making a good adaptation of a video game, the watcher should ideally, hopefully, not need to play the game to watch it. However, you bloody well, damn well should have played it as the writer, so that you know how to write it in a way that is approachable for other people.
Yes, and
who don't know what it is.
That's where Arcane have it as well. Is that because it's basically they have the advantage of tons of Tencent money. But they also have the advantage of being able to keep their writing in-house. So therefore, whoever's writing for Arcane knows League of Legends. It's kind of ingrained in there. They need to have known to be working at Riot in the first place. So that sort of works. The Fallout, like you mentioned Fallout, the writers on that have played the game. They know the world. They do all the stuff. The directors, plural, directors for Borderlands, knew nothing of it. Another example, Like a Dragon Yakuza, the Yakuza game. I kind of enjoyed it a little bit from the one episode I watched, but the major issue that they had is that they told the cast to not learn anything about the characters and the world in which Yakuza's set. And that is a red flag that says that they're basically just going to do whatever they want, but they're going to give the lead actor a white suit with a red shirt so he can be Kiryu. Is he anything like Kiryu? Oh, you'll have to find out and see if they manage to hit. But, so, yeah. Now, like you say, though, we come back to it, and the problem with this is that we feel that Season 2 have basically said that Arcane and Riot gave audience members of League of Legends, or of Arcane, 3 years to write a 500-word essay on what they know about Runeterra.
What I learned in Runeterra is.
Yeah. And that's my thing. And I feel this is also the Riot problem. This isn't necessarily an Arcane problem, but it is a Riot problem. Everything that is coming out is an advertisement for League of Legends, and is not the other way round. I personally have problems with this with the Riot Forge games. So the games that were released by indie developers under the Riot banner to tell stories in League of Legends without you needing to play League. And Riot considered it a failure because people weren't playing Stardew Valley Riot Edition and coming in to play League. I mean, they are two fucking different games. One is a cozy farming sim, and the other is the most brutal and toxic video game on the planet. You were expecting an audience to come in through that? No. Personally, and this is probably where I'll wrap up my spiel in a minute.
League players go to Call of Duty lobbies to detox and to cool off when they've had enough of League.
Yeah, but this was the thing. I had enough of playing Summoner's Rift years ago, but I was at a point where I even had enough playing Aram, for God's sake. And I love the lore and the background and the characters of Runeterra and League, but I didn't want to play League. So these Riot Forge games, that's who I feel they should have been marketing to. Lapsed League players who still wanted to enjoy the universe of League. And they didn't. They used them as an advertisement for the Prime game and sat there and went, "Oh, I'm shocked. Why did we not get 5 million more players?" Oh, it must be... No, it's like, did we market this wrong? No, it's the developers who are wrong. It's, whatever the butchering of the Seymour Skinner meme is. Am I out of touch? No, it is the children who were wrong. That's the one. So, and that's what I felt the Forge project was, and to be honest, the developers of the Forge project also felt that way. They're just like, wait, hold on, you wanted us in for these Riot games, and then you've just said that we didn't succeed in your aims. Remember, what were your aims exactly? Oh, you wanted them to not play our games, but to play League instead. You weirdos. But anyway, that's Arcane Act 1.
Yeah. There was one other thing I wanted to bring up briefly. This could just be like a lore thing that I just don't know about, because I've never read anything about League of Legends. I've only played and watched, and I've only played the one game. I haven't played a single side game ever for even 5 seconds.
Okay.
And I've watched Arcane. That's my League knowledge.
Okay.
I noticed some like imagery that was like suggestive of like King Jarvan and like banners and stuff. Does Piltover like owe allegiance to Demacia? Like, are they part of them? Like, what's up with that?
No. Piltover is an independent city-state.
Yeah, I figured it was, but it's like I just saw these banners in like at least 2 episodes that looked like King Jarvan, and I was like, what's that about?
Yeah, no, because this is the thing. Yeah, like Piltover is just a democracy. It's just a just an industrial revolution. So like post-industrial revolution democracy. There's no royalty, none of that business. Like, they do have like houses, should we say, that sort of like influential business people and stuff like that. But no, the monarchy in that is kept solely, is kept to Demacia. The Freljord is closer to a sort of a tribe, and and
they have a queen, right? Like Ashe is the queen, right?
Yeah, Queen Ashe, King Tryndamere, they're the power couple, but they're, like I say, they're closer to a nomadic tribe in Freljord rather than your big full monarchy business.
Yeah.
Like, so Demacia is the closest to that.
I don't know if you have the Netflix player up, or you have the ability to.
I can bring it up on the
Seek. I just wanted to see if I can find a.
Where would you wish?
A snippet of it. I'm still looking.
Right.
But it's just like I don't know if that was like I was just mistaken about that, or if it was just something I didn't know about, or what.
I mean, there's a close it could be like a house banner or something that's sort of coming, because you have your the main houses that they always talk about there is House Kiriman and House Talos, which are Jace's and Caitlyn's.
let's see. I think. Wait. I just saw them. Come on. Advance. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's a little. Yeah. So it's okay. Like if you go to like episode 1, around the like 2040-ish mark.
So 2040.
Like this is just as what's her face? The one of the new, the female enforcer that's like all friendly and bubbly and stuff.
Maddie.
She's just finished talking with Vi, and she's like off to go to the funeral or whatever.
Yes, I see what you mean. As they're all like ready to head to the memorial, there is these. Yeah, it does
like
look
banners
like
down the streets, and that's Jarvan, right? Like that's.
It looks like it. I mean, it really does
like,
look like it.
Like it can't really be like, I can't think of that being indicative of anyone who's like Piltover native.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Is that like? There's some, I feel like there's some funky going on there. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I may be wrong on my lore at that point, but I wasn't aware that Jarvan was thinking. I mean, it could just be it could just have been a funny thing that until the war on, like, you know, the war against Zorn sort of happened, like they were just expecting. Now, next agenda on the table is to whether to welcome the Demacian. You know, the Demacians to discuss
they're
something.
They were talking about having like some diplomatic relations, and then all of a sudden shit happened.
Yeah,
could be.
But we'll find out. I mean,
it was just a quirky thing that came up, and I was like,
yeah, I get it.
I want a story. Here's the spinoff I want. Here's what I want to have happen when Arcane's done. Okay. I would love to have a story about good old what's your name? Lux. I want to go to Demacia and have a story about Lux. I think you got some interesting potential there, because like the whole thing about her is that she's like she's a light mage or whatever, but like that's like not chill really,
no,
right?
It is punishable by crime. So what? So
it's like I think that'd be kind of fun.
So like some sort of like Sabrina the Teenage Witch style sort of thing, or Bewitched, where she's got to like, you know, use magic to save the day, but without anyone knowing that she's.
Yeah, think like that. You know, she wants to like, you know, help, you know, do good and help people, but she also doesn't want to get like imprisoned and or executed for being, you know, the magic lady. And you know, like her and is it like Garen is her brother, right? Like
correct, yeah.
Or yeah.
Yeah, they are both Garen and Luxana Crown Guard.
Yeah, it'd be like explore that dynamic of like, you know, you've got like a, you know, like a King's Guard, essentially, like a really important, you know, sort of inner circle guy who has to do with the fact that his sister is, you know, got some evil blood in her or whatever, and
we have Jarvan.
Like, that'd be and you know, obviously Jarvan is a part of that story too. And I think that'd be an interesting
one. Did you know he has relations with Shyvana?
Interesting. That is interesting.
Mm-hmm. That one is from the video game The Mage Seeker, which was supposed to tell the story of how Silas basically got to that one cutscene for a season opening where he decides to just take over Demacia.
Now, is that in human form, or is that in?
It's in human form.
Okay, just have to check these things. Yeah, listen.
You gotta be careful.
He's King Jarvan. Like he's fucking, you know, he's
King Jarvan, the Rule 34th.
You know, he might be different. There might be other uses for that spear of his. You know, I'm just saying.
Demacia. Right.
Oh, we've got a person joining in at an unfortunately late hour.
Hey, it was a lurk. Well, there'll be a VOD of our ramblings of Arcane Season 1, and then I may do something. What I would go, before we do leave, I forgot that I've been watching a bunch of Arcane-related videos from various YouTubers. If you're into psychology and therapy, or if you like storytelling,
get better help.
The YouTube channel Cinema Therapy does an episode on Arcane called Jinx and Vi, Grief and Psychosis. There is a YouTube channel, there's a therapist called Georgia Gao who does the psychology of Arcane. So she basically just looks at, the inner minds of all the major characters of Arcane. From season 1, at least. She hasn't done any for season 2 yet, but I expect that to happen. And then there's a YouTube channel called Shaped by Stories, which if you just want to know more about other characters, she just goes through them sort of like one at a time. I think the last one she did was Mel. And it was just like, oh, she's not just a, she's not just a manipulative person. She's a manipulative person with a good heart. Yeah. She does it a lot more, like, she's a lot more wordy and more explanatory about it. But that's my suggestions.
Alright, well, good recommendations.
Yeah. And I guess at this point we'll be back around this time next week. Once we've watched Act 2, and hopefully some of these threads that Riot and Fortiche have left dangling
start to tie up a little bit.
Yeah, sort of like, hopefully, we're all for branching out, but they've got to come back together at some point. And I mean, this next act is probably going to be the Warwick arc.
Yeah, that's
because we forgot to.
That's been a development going on,
Yeah,
every time an episode ends, like, we get a little 5-second cutscene of Meanwhile, thousands of miles away,
as people
Singed is doing weird shit with dogs. Don't think about it too hard.
Yeah, as people have said, political intrigue and chaotic action in Piltover. Meanwhile, Singed is camping wolves. Victor is Jesus. Meanwhile, Singed is playing Surgeon Simulator. And then the last episode, the universe has torn itself apart. Meanwhile, Singed is giving blood. It's just oh
just
God.
Doing Singed things.
Yeah, that's
Singed is like the perfect example of like the chaotic neutral or chaotic evil. Like, I'm not sure which one he is, but like, I think probably on the evil side. Like, he really just has no. He really doesn't seem to have like any particular goals or allegiances. He just seems to want to just fuck with nature and just see what happens.
Yeah, he
doesn't really.
It's like where Jace. It's
Soko
like where
got
Jace,
blown up, and he's like,
yeah,
whatever.
Jace prods runes, Singed prods hearts. Both of them trying to get the same result.
Yeah, but the thing is, Jace wants to know what his results will be. He's just bad at predicting it.
Yeah, Singed is just.
I don't think Singed really cares what the result is. He just wants to see what happens.
Yeah. Oh my God, he is just a curious 3-year-old in mad scientist form. What does this button do? Oh God, she's the Animaniacs child. She's the Animaniacs child. Okay, I love you. Bye bye. Oh Jesus. I think that.
Yeah,
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I'd say Act 1 overall. I would say my emotional response was at a better average high than my season 1 Act 1 impressions. Like I said, there was a lot more up and down, a lot more turbulence in the season 1. Sometimes there were moments where I was like, holy shit, this is like the best show ever. And then there were moments where I was like, I kind of wish I wasn't watching the show anymore. But like, the average was all right. Here, the average is, again, all right, and maybe like a hair above, but with far less exaggerated peaks and valleys.
Yeah,
it's just kind of all right.
Yeah, it's hit.
It's been
hit
fine.
A consistent for you, where that consistent is fine.
Yeah,
and I get that. And it's
fine for now.
Yes,
it's a fine with an asterisk.
Yeah, and for me, I'm sort of the same. I think we discussed this offline as well, or off air, that mine has gone down a little bit, but not in the point that I feel that it's in trouble. It's
yet.
Again, asterisk. But again, it's fine. It's fine. And again, I have this weird bar. Like I say, I've had people go off and like let me go and like oh, what's the point in you looking for perfection when you've turned around and said that there's no such thing as a perfect thing? And it's like, yeah, I stay true to that. I stay true to that. That when you settle at something perfect, there's no bar to go higher. So,
Well,
that doesn't stop things being very good. That was the bit that got me.
The thing about like the relationship with perfection and reality is that it's perfection is always the end goal of the project. Like that's why you ideally want, even if it is unachievable. Like your goal is always to try and get as close to that as you can.
Yeah.
And there's you go until you can't go, or until you have removed the flaws that you are capable of perceiving. Yeah, that's usually when you end things, right?
Yeah, I can put my hands up onto that though as well. It's like maybe that's it's a bit too exacting, but that's just how it is. So as far as our hard out at 90 minutes goes, if I take away the time they were just going, 1 hour 43. You know what? That's not too bad.
It's not bad. We're only a little, considering that we did. We went for like 5 hours last time we did this. I think this is succinct by comparison.
Yes. Yeah, so we're working on that. And then let's think of it this way. Next time we do this, we won't have a 15-minute preamble of going back to what happened on Season 1 beforehand. So, as far as I'm concerned, we're in that range. So
that's true. We will have a lot less guff to talk about before we get into talking about Act 2.
Yeah, no need.
We had there was a lot of pretense to introduce the episode. Next weapon will be like 5-10 minutes tops, and then boom, all Act 2 all day.
Yeah, we're straight in, and we're just like, go previous act that happened. Let's see where we go. So yeah, that'll be that. So we'll be back next week with that. I'll try and maybe put in, see if I can do some, if I remember, do some little cross-media images that can go into the VOD version. But that'll be on later on in the week. But other than that, that's Duncan. I'm Ryan. We're Material Gamers, and our impressions of Act 2 will be around about this time next week. So
yeah, probably, give or take.
Yeah. So from us, we're going to sign out. Peace.